Hello and welcome back to our homestead. I'm in the kitchen today making a family dinner. And as I am preparing for it, I decided to just record it and show you what I'm making. Because I am surprised, I'm surprised that many people don't know how to cook different cuts of meat and they only rely on chicken breast or chicken thigh or something that is obvious in your face. And then if you need to, like if you're suggesting cooking oxtail, you only can find it in ethnic stores lately. It's no longer sold on a regular supermarket shelves. So today I am going to be making one of those slightly unusual cuts of meat, but boy, is it delicious. And we should be bringing it back and cooking it all the time. Is short ribs, beef short ribs that I'm going to be braising and cooking low and slow and delicious until it all falls apart. Because unfortunately, many people don't know how to cook these types of meats anymore. So I'm going to bring my camera closer and show you things that I have and things and how I'm going to be cooking it. Okay, so obviously we have the short ribs here. And when we got them, they were in the strip of 1, 2, 3, 4. I already cleaned one and cut one. And this one is still a whole one. And there's a lot of fat on it. We don't want that much fat. So I'm going to actually trim some of that fat away. Let me see if I can cut this fat away because honestly, this dish will be way too fatty. I mean, there's plenty of fat left over, but if there's any silver skin on it, it's best that we remove some of it. And if you have been following me in the past, you know that I do not throw away fat just like that. I think this knife needs a little sharpening. All right, so I'm just trimming some of this fat away and it's gonna go to my chickens. I'm not lying to you, I'm not kidding. Chickens need extra fat in the winter months. Then also all the silver skin that's right above the ribs, I'm going to trim it a little bit and take that off because we want our meat to be nice and soft and literally fall off the bone. So I'm gonna take a piece of paper towel, grab the edge, and hopefully it will come off. Sometimes it comes off very easily and sometimes it doesn't. It makes a liar out of me. But all I'm doing, I'm just grabbing a piece, and like I said, sometimes it comes off nice and easy and sometimes it doesn't want to. And right now it does not want to. Look how thick it is. And it's going to be very chewy. We don't want that there. Let me see if I can take that off. I know when the meat has not been previously frozen and this meat has been, see, it comes right off like this. So we don't want that. That's going to go away. Let me take this. All right. Because otherwise this meat will be very tough and chewy. We don't want that. So we want to take that off. Okay, a little piece remains. I can just take that off. Okay, so and then what I need to do in order for me to make this dish nice and delicious, I'm gonna first brown all of these pieces. So let me cut this meat into 4 chunks right between the bones. See, bone 1, 2, these are the beef ribs, and the meat in between it is delicious. You know, as a functional nutrition practitioner, I often talk to my clients about nutrition, you guessed it. And I am finding more and more that many Americans, and I mean many Americans, don't know how to cook at home. As a matter of fact, some surveys, I don't know which survey because it's above my pay grade, but some surveys suggest that 28 to 50% of Americans do not cook at home at all, or at least not every day. Okay, I'm gonna cut off even more fat. There's just a lot of fat on this piece here, and I just don't want it to be that fatty. I'm okay with some fat. Some fat is delicious and it's gonna add a lot of flavor, but this one just has way too much, way too much. We do not need that much. Okay, but like I said, I don't throw it away. It's gonna go in a good, useful place. Okay, so my meat is here. Let me wash my hands and we're going to season all of them. So in my Dutch oven, I'm just going to heat it up and add enough oil to cover the bottom. Okay, so probably about quarter of a cup. I'm going to be generous here. Why? Because I need to make sure that all of my short ribs are nicely brown on each side. Notice that I did not put any. Nice. Let that start sizzling. I did not add any flour to the beef because I am trying to keep it a little bit on the lower carb side, and I am trying to keep it gluten free as well. So yes, I know you can also dredge them in flour, but I'm not doing it. Also, I am not overcrowding them because they need space to be nicely browned on each side. Okay, let them cook for each side for about 3.5 minutes. And now that they're browning nicely, I'm going to turn them. Nice, beautiful. And let them all now cook on each side, just like this, getting nice, brown, crispy, without burning, of course. So it takes at least 3 minutes on each side. While the short ribs are browning right now, I'm going to show you the rest of the ingredients that we're going to need. And those are very simple, staple ingredients that we usually, or hopefully we all have in our pantries or in our refrigerators. So I'm going to need some onion. I'm going to need 2 large onion or 3 medium onions. I'm going to use some celery, and these are kind of small, so I have 8 little ribs. But if you have those really big ones, 3 will be sufficient. 3 or 4 will be sufficient enough. We also going to need a couple of large carrots. But for me, these are the carrots that I shredded and I froze back in the summer when I was preserving my carrots. Also, I'm going to need some garlic. I really love garlic, so we're going to use at least 4 cloves of garlic. We also going to need, this is my little specialty, I add a green apple. I'm going to chop up a green apple. It's going to add a really nice flavor to this dish. Also, we're going to need some crushed tomatoes, and these are my home crushed tomatoes that I made a couple of years ago. We're also going to need some red wine. If you want to omit wine, that's fine. Just add regular beef broth and a couple of splashes of red wine vinegar, or like some sort of a vinegar, because you need a little bit of acidity. But I'm going to use about 2 cups of good quality red wine, obviously salt, pepper, and that's it. So let me start chopping all of these vegetables. I'm going to chop these onions into little dice because I want them to kind of disappear in the sauce. Okay, I don't want them to be a big prominent character. I just want them to bring the flavor. Okay, so the onions are chopped. I know it's a lot of onion, but we do need that beautiful onion taste in this dish. Okay, then I'm just gonna chop up the celery as well. And like I said, these are small celery, but if you have really big one, again, they're not gonna be in very big pieces. I want them to be in small pieces. I want them to cook down almost to nothing. Okay, this is a really, really wonderful meal to serve for your family on a Sunday meal because it takes such a long time. And I know people's gonna say, well, this is not a good meal for weeknight. Maybe or maybe not. Actually, it may be a really good meal for a weeknight, because if you are going to work, you can set this all up in the morning in a crock pot, and your crock pot can do the job for you. And then also I'm gonna be using the green apple. I just love how green apple, this Granny Smith apple, brings a really nice flavor to this dish, and I really love it. It's not very obvious. It's a nice little addition. Oh, it's so good. I'm just chopping them up in little pieces as well, and it's going to all saute together. They're going to fall apart. They're going to literally fall apart. I find that, and it's not a secret, that many traditional skills of cooking, of other traditional skills of growing foods and preserving foods, unfortunately, are disappearing. And as fast as just one generation, it takes only one generation from not gardening, not preserving food, and not cooking from scratch, and to be lost. I hear this all the time from many of my clients when they say, yeah, my mom never made a broth from scratch, so therefore I don't know how to do that either. Okay, let's start sauteing all this good stuff. Okay, beautifully browned on each side. I'm going to remove them from the Dutch oven, because in the same place we're going to now cook all of our vegetables. We're going to saute all of our vegetables, okay? So this is all coming out in the same pot, just like this. I'm not going to remove any oil. I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm going to be cooking all of my vegetables in it as well. They also need to be all browned in here nicely, okay, without burning. And it's going to take a few minutes, anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes on a medium heat. Let this all cook together. Let me add the carrots as well. The carrots go here as well. They are somewhat still semi-frozen. It's going to take a little longer. But I do like to either cut very, very small or shred them, so they cook everything together evenly. Very nice. Let this cook. Okay, let's not forget the garlic. I chopped up the 4 little cloves of garlic. That goes in here as well. It's going to add a really nice flavor. And also, we cannot forget to season it. Again, the heat is on medium low. We need to make sure we season this with salt and with pepper. Everything has to be seasoned. Otherwise, we're wasting our food. We're wasting our products here if we don't season it. All right, seasoning, how much? It should be to taste. Salt and pepper to taste, okay? I'm not putting anything extra crazy in here. All right, so to this, we're also going to be adding 2 cups of wine. And like I said, you can omit wine and substitute, but I will be putting wine, and you can put white wine or red wine. I just feel that beef goes very well with red wine. I think it's going to be a good combination. So a couple of cups of red wine go in here as well, okay? All of this alcohol will cook off, so I'm not worried about it. And also to this, I'm going to be adding a whole quart of crushed homegrown tomatoes, okay? They're also going to break down in the sauce. Actually, I'm going to see if I can help it a little bit. I'm going to mush it all together so they break up together, and let that all cook together, okay? Again, I will taste this to make sure that it's seasoned well before I add the beef back in here. Okay, let this all cook together. It's going to be one delicious dinner. Okay, let this all come to a boil and saute everything, marry everything together. You know, I was looking up some of the statistics about how much or how lack of American cooking at home, because this is all about cooking using real ingredients, real foods. So 56% of Gen Z are not cooking at home because they say that they feel overwhelmed with very basic ingredients or foods, even like an omelet. 28% of Americans don't know how to cook basic recipes, and only 25% of Americans cook daily at home, okay? Many will say that it's because of finances, financial reasons, or lack of time. But, you know, I agree, there are lack of time. Many people are working outside of their homes, but there's ways around it. And crock pot or slow cooking is one of them. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a quick little taste to make sure I have enough salt and pepper. Otherwise, I think, it's delicious. I taste a little bit of red wine. All of this meat is going back in here. I'm going to bury it all in this beautiful, rich, full of vegetables sauce, just like that. Okay. And at this point, we need to cook this super slow for the next 3 or even 4 hours until everything falls off the bone. Look at this. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? It's going to sit here and cook nice and slow for the next 3 or 4 hours. We can put this in the oven on low, like about 325 degrees, okay? Or I can even leave it on a stove top. All right, let me just return all these juices back in here. The cover goes on. Or because we have wood stove, let me show you how I'm gonna cook it. Okay, my stove is nice and hot, and it's gonna go right on top, and we're gonna use the free heat from the stove. It's heating the house, and it's gonna cook low and slow for the next few hours until it falls off the bone. 2.5 hours later, I think it's done. It could have cooked a little longer, but I think it's done. And let me tell you how I know, because the bones are out, and the meat is so, look at that. The bone is like literally out. Look at that. Okay. Isn't this beautiful? Look how thick, and the bones are literally out. So we should not be afraid of cheaper cuts meats. Those that might be more tougher on the exterior and require a little longer to cook. And now we can serve it over mashed potatoes or over polenta or creamy cauliflower mash. This is creamy turnip mash. Honestly, it can be over anything. Or even white beans that could be nicely cooked and mashed together. Nice, warm, hearty meal. Now look at this. Now we can put this beautiful meat right on top. Like this. Isn't this something? Look at that. Look at this. Huh? Beautiful, hearty meal can be served for a family. Absolutely gorgeous. Note that I did not put any flour on it, so this is not very thick sauce, but I think it thickened up enough and perfect just like this. So friends, I know that there is a saying that traditional skills are lost in just one generation if those skills are not kept up and passed on from your previous generation. And I know that many people are forgetting how to cook those cuts of meat and cook those traditional meals. I want to encourage you, let's go back to those old school cookbooks. Sometimes you can get them for free these days. Go to the library and you're going to find them literally for free sitting outside in the box, people giving them away. Find an old recipe of how to cook, shanks of lamb and short ribs and oxtail, and make this beautiful, hearty, delicious meals. So friends, be encouraged. Bring those traditional skills back and feed our families something delicious and healthy. I forgot to put little scallions on top. Something fresh and green. Nice, delicious.